Hi guys and welcome on board Virgin Voyages Scarlet Lady. Now this cruise ship was actually the first ever cruise ship that Virgin tried their hand at building, and I think they've done a pretty spectacular job. This thing is beautiful. Now I've just spent a couple of nights on here trying to understand what the Virgin Cruise product is and if it works. Now throughout the last few nights there's been some things that I've absolutely loved and it's been so refreshing, and there's been other things that I haven't. Now, in this video today, I'm going to talk to you about some of the things that I have fallen in love with about cruising with Virgin, and also some of the things that I've not, because sometimes doing it differently doesn't always mean doing it better. So look, join me downstairs and let's get started. Before we get started today, if you do enjoy this video and find it useful, it would be great if you would consider supporting my channel by clicking subscribe and also the like button. Okay, let's get started thinking about what I've loved about my time cruising, or as they say, voyaging with Virgin. Up first, we need to talk about the ship itself. While there are some elements on these ships that are controversial, and don't worry, we'll come back to one of these, the Virgin ships are absolutely gorgeous. In a busy port of other ships, these ones really do stand out thanks to their unique silver and red paint jobs. In addition to the unique furniture on the balcony, I have never looked up at a cruise ship in port and been able to see thousands of hammocks before. It's so unusual. Looking beyond the exterior of these ships, the insides are equally as amazing. They don't feel like a traditional cruise ship at all, and in fact, I'd recommend that you prepare yourself to board a luxury city hotel resort for the week rather than a ship. I found the overall standards to be impeccably high on board, far higher than what I might have thought with the price I paid for my pesky little inside cabin upstairs. Anyway, we'll come back to that later. It's so clear that Virgin have tried to make this ship feel different to their competition, and in my opinion, they've certainly succeeded. Next up, on the things I've loved about the Virgin product, and this one might be controversial, is the lack of a drinks package. When Virgin launched cruise ships, they raised eyebrows across the industry as they boldly confirmed that they wouldn't be offering drinks packages on board their ships. First up, what is a drinks package? Well, if you've never cruised before, this is where you essentially pay a set price each day, and some cruise lines will allow you to drink an unlimited amount of certain drinks. Some cruise lines have introduced limits to packages, meaning that you can go through, for example, 15 drinks a day. I know, 15 drinks a day seems a lot, but I'm always amazed at how many people do meet their limits. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of a drinks package, because whenever I have one, I have this ridiculous feeling that I have to get my money's worth, and I end up drinking way more than I would normally. Virgin don't offer these packages and instead claim that their pricing is fair across the ship. From what I've seen on board, I'd absolutely agree with this. A top tip for drinks on a Virgin cruise: instead of offering drinks packages where you pay a set price each day, Virgin offers you the ability to purchase what they call a bar tab. This is a prepaid amount that you pay for your bar bill up front, and if you purchase this in advance of your cruise, then they'll give you a little bonus on top to, I guess, reward you for paying in advance. We're not talking huge bonuses here. It'll be along the lines of, if you pay a $200 bar tab, Virgin will gift you an additional $25. If you know you're going to get through this financial value of alcohol, I'd always advise paying for the tab. After all, everybody loves a free drink. Another thing that I've really enjoyed about the Virgin product is the lack of tannoy announcements. This one might sound funny if you've never cruised before, but I've spent a lot of time on cruise ships over the last few years, and I often get completely fed up of the announcements blasting across the ship. These are fine when it's a safety announcement on day one, but I just can't entertain cruise lines booming into all the cabins to start selling bingo tickets first thing in the morning, or to let me know that the ship is going to be docking in 30 minutes time. Please just let me go to sleep. Virgin don't do announcements during your cruise unless they absolutely have to. This means you're not going to have that really annoying upselling taking place over all the speakers, no weather reports when you're in the middle of dancing to your favourite song by the pool, and nobody telling you what's going on around that ship in the evening when you haven't even had your shower yet. Now, while I've loved this on my current cruise, I'm not sure how I'd feel about it for a more significant cruise route. For example, if I were to take a Virgin cruise through the Suez Canal or the Panama Canal, I'd really love announcements to guide me through what I was actually experiencing. I think I'd feel pretty lost out there trying to decipher what was around me. So on this type of cruise itinerary, it certainly works to have no announcements, but if I were to do a more bucket list itinerary, I'd probably much rather listen to that tannoy. You're maybe getting the picture that I quite enjoy some peace and quiet when I cruise. Let me talk about another aspect that I loved, and for this I need to apologise for anybody watching this video who hates the no children policy that Virgin uphold. Personally, I absolutely love it. I love it because it makes the dining rooms much quieter, it means the entertainment can be a little bit more risky, and it also means that parents who can escape for the length of their cruise can really let their hair down. Now, in the real world, I don't have kids, but I've absolutely loved meeting so many parents on Virgin who delight in the fact that they can escape as a couple and have a cruise vacation without their children. I really hope that this is something that Virgin continue to operate with, because it's a really clear differentiating factor from the rest of the market. Next up, can we talk about the food? We're going to cover food in both the things I've loved and also the things I haven't, so stay tuned. But I've genuinely found the food on board Virgin ships to be absolutely fantastic. No mass-produced main dining room food and no stale buffet food that's been sitting under a heat lamp for a little bit too long. You all know what I'm talking about. Everything feels like it's made completely fresh to order on here. On that note, you might need to give your breakfast a little bit longer to arrive when you're eating up at the galley, which is what Virgin calls their market hall buffet style venue, because it's not all sitting 100% ready just for you to grab. If you're looking for a food recommendation for your cruise, then please book into Gunbae, the Korean restaurant. I'm not going to give too much away, but the food in here is so tasty, and it's always such a good way to meet fellow cruisers on the first few nights of your trip. The only word of warning for dining in here is that you'll be sharing your table with other cruisers. So this is one venue that you won't get your table for two by the window. You'll always be sharing with other people. Okay, let's move on from food. Shall we talk about fitness? This is another thing that I've loved while cruising with Virgin. There are so many fitness options on board this ship. You're going to find multiple gyms on board, in addition to indoor and outdoor training facilities. Fitness classes are also included on Virgin cruises. So why don't you try booking into something that you've always wanted to try? Who knows, you might be about to find your new favourite hobby. Another aspect of the fitness offering on Virgin ships that I absolutely love is the onboard running track. You're going to find this towards the back of the ship all the way up at the top. The benefit to this running track versus what you'll find on lots of other cruise ships is in the name. It's an actual running track. Lots of cruise ships have a colour marked part of the top deck for people to run around during certain times. But on here, it's a whole separate section, allowing you to run without worrying about tripping over a sun lounger or running into a holidaymaker during your workout who just isn't watching where they're going. Okay, the last thing to tell you about that I've loved about cruising with Virgin before we move on to look at the things that I haven't is the onboard vibe. Everything about this ship and style of cruising just makes me switch off and relax. It's such a chilled environment. I genuinely think that Virgin Voyages have one of the most refreshingly diverse approaches to so many aspects of their business, and it's something that I would love to see more companies, yes, cruise lines, but also land-based providers, pay homage to in the future. They're a great example of a company who encourage their crew and passengers to absolutely just be themselves and just to live their best life. During my cruise, it's been so great to see a huge range of passengers on here, from low 20s all the way up into the 80s, and they all seem to be having a ball. What's even better is that this vibe continued when we docked at Bimini to head over to Virgin's Beach Club. The whole day was so relaxed, everyone seemed to love their time ashore, and if you'd like to see more, check out this video, which was when we headed over to Bimini and I gave you a full tour. Anyway, that's it for some of the things that I've loved about the Virgin product during my cruise. However, not all things are great, so let's now move to look at some of the aspects of this experience that I haven't loved. First up, can we talk about the swimming pool? The main pool on the top deck of a Virgin cruise ship is, in my opinion, ridiculous. While cruise ship pools are rarely huge, they're normally big enough to at least do a little swim in. This pool, however, should really just be described as a plunge pool. My advice here, honestly, consider saving yourself the hassle of carrying your hairnet and your luggage. You're probably not going to be doing any lengths in here. It's a great pool for dipping your toes in the water while you sip your favourite drink, granted, but that's where the greatness ends for me, I'm afraid. So yes, leave the hairnet or the swimming cap at home in your drawers. Next up, let's return to the topic of food. As you know, I am a big fan of the food on these Virgin ships, but what I'm not a fan of is how difficult it can sometimes be to book into the restaurants. One thing I didn't realise before this cruise was that you can actually book restaurant reservations before you board your cruise. At the point of recording this video, you could book your restaurants up to 45 days before boarding the ship. So set your alarms and get ready to book the top spots on your app way in advance. If you want my advice, I'd recommend that you try to book Pink Agave, the onboard Mexican, and the Wake, the onboard steakhouse, before your cruise, because both of these were so busy during my cruise and it was almost impossible for them to squeeze me, as a solo traveller, in for dinner. Save yourself the hassle, book online before you go. The next thing that I haven't really enjoyed about the Virgin product takes us into my cabin. It's important that you think about, when booking your cruise, how much time you're actually going to spend in your cabin. I thought I'd spend no time at all in here, but I was actually quite wrong on this cruise. I found that I loved to retreat back to the room with a glass of wine, and I really regretted on multiple occasions not booking a balcony or at least a cabin with a window. Think, when you book your cruise, are you going to be happy staying on the inside? If yes, then crack on, save yourself a good amount of cash, but if you think you might fancy a window or even better, some fresh air from your room, you might want to think about upgrading into a balcony. Another thing that I need to give a thumbs down to on Virgin is the pricing strategy in the onboard shops. I've been on a lot of cruise ships, but I've never seen pricing quite like some of the areas on this ship. Believe it or not, if you need to buy after sun following a day out on the top deck enjoying the sun, you're going to have to be prepared to spend over $20 a bottle. Yes, $20. I'll leave some of the other prices up to your imagination, but my overall advice here is that you're not going to bag yourself a bargain on a Virgin cruise, so maybe get ready to purchase a little treat for yourself, and don't worry about bringing half an empty suitcase on board to fill up with your onboard purchases. Okay, the final thing I didn't enjoy about my Virgin cruise, having to leave the ship and go back onto dry land and go home. Well, not really go home in my case, because I was just jumping onto another cruise ship at the next dock in Miami. However, for the purpose of this conversation, go home. If you'd like to join me on more of my adventures, then click subscribe and follow along, because I aim to show you so many parts of the cruise industry. Jokes aside, one thing that I do need to credit Virgin for is that on the last day of your cruise, you'll have a much later disembarkation time slot than what you would with most other cruise lines. They're also really good at keeping the food hall and the coffee shops open as late as possible, so you don't need to worry about waking up at 6 o'clock in the morning if you don't want to on the last day of your cruise. So that's it, a really quick summary of some of what I absolutely loved and some insights to what I didn't on board my recent Virgin cruise. If you've enjoyed this video, please give it your like, and also think about supporting my channel by subscribing. It's totally free of charge for you to do, and it massively helps my channel to grow. Wherever you are in the world, thank you so much for watching this video. Have a great cruise when your time comes, and have a great day.